The only thing I'm trying to do is just try to find out who my baby father is. Because he's 43 years old, he don't want to work.
But you slept with him without protection.
Yeah, I did.
So at this point, the insults are irrelevant.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm not saying he is my father. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just here to find out. And I was 11 years old, and it took 5 minutes to get in contact with him. So you telling me it took you 21 years to find me? How was it that hard? So you must have not been searching.
This story starts wild and stays wild. Ms. Johnson says Mr. Rice is her baby's dad, but Mr. Rice is like, nope, not me. And just like that, we're off to a drama-filled start.
You have summoned the defendant to court today to prove that he fathered your 6-month-old son, Jeremiah.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are furious that he never met your baby and plan prove paternity today. Mr. Rice, you say you are 100% certain you are not her child's biological father, and you claim to know who is.
It all began after a breakup, a rebound, and a lot of drama. Ms. Johnson and Mr. Rice got too friendly, and suddenly, a baby was on the way. It's already messy, and trust me, it gets juicier.
I want to say June, the end of June, me and my boyfriend, we broke up. I was in my feelings, so I took comfort in Mr. Rice. We were friends prior to that. It went further than expected. We had sex, and I found out I was pregnant in September.
Ms. Johnson found out she was pregnant at the doctor's office. She thought Mr. Rice would be thrilled, but he was more, wait what, than yay. And from here, things spiraled into doubt and accusations.
I had just a regular doctor's appointment. I wasn't feeling good, and when I got in there, she was like, "You're pregnant." And at first I was in shock. Like, I was freaking out, like, okay, I'm pregnant. Me and Mr. Rice had already talked about, he said he wanted kids, and I didn't think it was a problem. I thought he would be happy that I was pregnant. And he was happy. Then I just...
Mr. Rice was excited at first until Ms. Johnson said it might be her ex's baby. And once that doubt started, it grew fast. Let's just say trust didn't last long here.
Yes, I was excited about it until she decided to tell me it could be her ex's baby or it could be my baby.
How did she tell you?
I had left my phone in my brother's car. I was at school. And he came and told me about it. And then I got on the phone with her and she told me.
So how did he tell you it was on your phone?
Because she was calling my phone.
Oh, she was
I messaged his friend.
Ms. Johnson revealed she got an STD, and Mr. Rice was like, excuse me? He tested negative, which only made him doubt more. And yes, it's about to get even more awkward.
I go to about 1 doctor's appointment with her. And after that, she tells me she has an STD. But the doctor calls me the next day and tells me, "Sir, you don't have an STD at all."
That doesn't make sense to me at all, Your Honor. I wasn't having sex with anybody but him during the time. So there was no way that he didn't have it because I wasn't sleeping with anybody else.
Mr. Rice says the pregnancy timeline doesn't add up. Ms. Johnson told him one thing, but the baby's birth date didn't match. He's definitely not buying her story at this point.
Because when she told me she was a month pregnant, it was in October. The baby was supposed to be born in June. The baby was born in April.
Oh, the timeline was off from the conception date she gave you.
When she goes to the doctor and find out how long she is, if she was 2 months pregnant, it would be James' baby. But if she was 1 month pregnant, it would be my baby. And she told me out of her own mouth.
In walks Ms. Johnson's ex, Mr. Williams, ready to stir things up. He's been acting like the dad, but isn't sure if he actually is. Now we've got 2 possible dads and 1 big question.
When we got back together like September, I've been there since day 1. Like doctor's appointments.
You and Ms. Johnson were still sleeping together during the time they were sleeping together because she admitted she got an STD. Did you have one that you could pass to her?
No, ma'am. Because we had took a test too, and I didn't have it.
You did not have it?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson admits she had feelings for her ex the whole time. She also told Mr. Williams that Mr. Rice was the dad. If you think that clears things up, it doesn't.
Who did she tell you was the father of the child?
Mr. Rice.
I was angry at him because of a situation that we had went through before we broke up. So no, I didn't want him to be the father.
You admit you thought at some point that there was a real possibility you were the child's biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you still in the back of your mind think that way, despite what she tells you?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Rice says he tried multiple times to get a DNA test, but Ms. Johnson kept dodging him. He even offered to pay, but she ghosted him every time. It's like a never-ending game of hide and seek.
And she told me I could come up there and I could get my DNA test done. But maybe an hour or so later, she decides to text me and call me back. The DNA test people were not in the building. So I said, okay, she said you should come tomorrow on a Saturday. This was a Friday when he was born. So I called myself while I was still at work. She says, you can get a DNA test done, but I don't have $200 to $400 to pay for it. I said, I'll pay for it.
The baby's middle name is Samaj, which is James spelled backward, a nod to her ex. Ms. Johnson says it's credit for helping out, but Mr. Rice is not having it. No extra credit here, he says.
Jeremiah is 6 months old.
Yes, Your Honor.
He has your last name.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is I did notice when I looked at the birth certificate, baby Jeremiah has a middle name, Samaj, which is James.
I felt like since he was there from day one that he should get some kind of credit for, being there and taking care of him. I didn't feel like that was a problem.
The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Rice. You are the father.
This story kicks off with a bang. Mr. Lewis has been waiting 44 years to prove Mr. McAllister is his dad, but Mr. McAllister isn't convinced. The rumors are messy, and trust me, it's only getting messier from here. Stay tuned for the drama.
Mr. Lewis, you say you've always known the defendant is your father and say his paternity denials are mere excuses as to why he was not there for you. You hope today's results put an end to this 44-year-old mystery.
Mr. Lewis pours his heart out about growing up without a dad in South Central LA. It's sad stuff. You can tell it still stings, but it's not over yet. Mr. McAllister's side will flip everything upside down.
How has Mr. McAllister's denial affected you?
Well, growing up in South Central Los Angeles, it was tough not having a father there, knowing that you have one, just different things that went on through my life that, not having a man there to answer different questions, it made things a lot tough for me coming up, but thank God that everything worked out.
If you think it's messy, it gets worse. Mr. McAllister heard all kinds of wild rumors, like it might even be his cousin Michael. And at one point, Mr. Lewis's mom said his dad was dead. Cousin? Dead? Alive? It's like a chaotic soap opera.
I traveled to Los Angeles back in '81, and I ran into a relative of the family. This individual told me that their relative had my son. I got the information and I called Mrs. Lewis and I asked her, do we need to talk about something? And she said, no. I said, what about your son? What's going on there? I heard XY. I said, his dad is dead. I said, yes, his dad is dead.
Mr. Lewis took up football to avoid trouble and stay on the right track. He thinks his mom lied about his dad being dead to protect him. Honestly, you can see why she did it, but what happens next is going to blow your mind.
It was tough, growing up, thank God I gravitated to football because there were opportunities to get into gangs being in South Central Los Angeles. My mother, she protected me because I'm sure there was opportunities that she let him know. When she told him, and I'm not sure if she did say that, but actually my mother, if she did say he was dead, it was to protect me because we had already moved.
Years later, Mr. McAllister hears someone might be his son. He meets Mr. Lewis, who's 16 at the time. Sweet, right? Not really. Mr. Lewis thinks Mr. McAllister only showed up because he's a good football player. Drama level, maximum.
When I finally found out about that there was a possibility here, I reached out to him and I told him I was going to be coming to Los Angeles and I would like to meet him. He was 16 at the time. I just wanted to get to know him. I wanted him to get to know me. Because of a credible friend of mine that I dated for years told me that there was a gentleman that was looking for me, saying that I was his father.
Moment of truth.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. McAllister, you are the father.
Ms. Hicks kicks things off like a soap opera, saying this DNA test will save her relationship and prove Mr. Smith is the dad of baby Honesty. She's super confident, swearing she knows who the dad is. Buckle up, this is just the start of the drama.
Ms. Hicks, you say the sins of your past have brought you into court today to save your relationship. You are petitioning the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your 3-month-old daughter, Honesty.
Ms. Hicks is furious. She says she feels betrayed, especially since her sister is siding with Mr. Smith. She insists she only ever slept with Mr. Smith, and all these claims are making her mad. The drama's only getting started.
I know I've only slept with him, and I know who my children belong to. Hearing this from him and him getting it from my own blooded sister, it just bores me.
Tell the truth.
So,
I got something to say. She telling false lies, okay? I know for a fact that he was not the only one she was
there in the
sleeping
same
with.
bed with me when I'm sleeping with these people. I get.
Mr. Smith pulls out medical records showing he has hypogonadism, which supposedly means he can't have kids. The court takes a good look at it and science seems on his side, but Ms. Hicks isn't backing down. She's ready to prove her point.
I used to work out a lot, and one time strained myself too hard and I had to go to the hospital, and the doctor told me that I couldn't have kids, that my testicles had dropped by that time.
Male hypogonadism is a condition in which the body doesn't produce enough testosterone or has an impaired ability to produce sperm or both.
Ms. Hicks isn't buying it. She says, just look at Honesty. She's proof enough. She calls Mr. Mr. Smith's story ridiculous and insists the baby is the best evidence. Things are heating up with cheating accusations coming next.
2 months after Honesty was born. Like, she's living proof that you can have kids. I didn't make this baby myself.
Mr. Smith, you seem confident. She knows good and well that it's not your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
And why do you think she knows that?
I told her, once her son was born, she was cheating a lot of time with multiple men.
Mr. Smith claims Ms. Hicks wasn't loyal, bringing text messages as proof. The crowd gasps as the drama shifts from a baby to trust and lies. But wait, Ms. Hicks's sister is about to make things even worse.
I went through her phone and found text messages, and it said when I can get that kitty cat.
Oh, the other guy said, I miss that kitty cat. And Ms. Hicks responded, you know he leaves, so you can come over anytime.
Yes, Your Honor.
Saw this message and you feel like she was definitely sleeping around.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Hicks's sister Carlicia steps up, saying Ms. Hicks was with other guys. Ms. Hicks loses it, accusing her sister of lying to ruin her life. Just when you think it can't get worse, an expert arrives to clear things up.
Your Honor, I bet you don't even remember when he went to his grandma's house because they got into it. She had another man coming in the bed, sleeping in his bed. You hear me?
Your Honor.
Over there for 2 days.
No,
Do you
Your Honor.
remember?
I did not have
so
I did not have another man there. I know who my child belongs to. I know who every one of my children belongs to.
Dr. Gator explains hypogonadism, saying it doesn't mean Mr. Smith can't have kids, it just makes it harder. Suddenly, Mr. Smith's argument looks shaky. You know what that means. DNA test time.
So hypogonadism is when the body doesn't produce enough testosterone. You can either be born with it or you can develop it later in life. Usually from things like infection, injury to the testicles can also cause it. Nature gives us 2 testicles, and so usually it has to be a bound injury to not one, but both testicles to actually cause hypogonadism.
The DNA test reveals
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Smith, you are the father.
this story kicks off with 3 possible dads, 1 confused mom, and a 2-year-old stuck in the middle. Miss Hatcher had relationships with 3 guys around the time her son was conceived, and she's here to find the real dad. The drama is already so thick you could cut it with a butter knife. Brace yourselves.
Miss Hatcher, you confessed that at the time you conceived your 2-year-old son, Josiah, you had sexual relations with 3 men. Now, you don't want your son to suffer for your mistakes, so you've requested paternity testing on all 3 men.
Miss Hatcher drops a reality TV level timeline, dating all 3 men at once, and using a color-coded calendar to explain it. Just as everyone's piecing it together, Mr. Scott butts in with a rude comment that gets him a verbal smackdown from the judge. The chaos is real, and it's about to get messier.
At the time, I had sex with 3 different men around the same time my son conceived. I did have a 5.5-month fling with Mr. Scott.
No, Your Honor, that is not true. It was just sex, period.
That's what a fling is.
Not to me.
And I had a one-night stand with him around the time. And I also had a one-night stand with Mr. Blake.
Mr. Scott throws out another disrespectful comment, and the judge shuts him down immediately. The courtroom erupts with gasps, applause, and some serious side-eye from Miss Hatcher. Just when it seems like it might calm down, Mr. Scott's attitude shows there's more drama coming.
Did you use protection?
No, we did not.
How much did he pay?
Excuse me, Mr. Scott? You're gonna be respectful in this courtroom.
He is very ignorant. He is just recently, he knows that we don't have a working refrigerator and a stove. And he comes over to my house and he still has the same attitude, nasty attitude that he has now.
Mr. Scott takes the stand and claims he stepped up as the dad, signing the birth certificate and buying diapers, until Miss Hatcher brought up a DNA test. He tries to sound like the good guy, but his frustration is showing. You can tell he's not done stirring the pot and things are only heating up.
And when she came and told me she was pregnant, I believed her, because she's a woman who knows her body, who's supposed to know her body, who knows what she does.
So when the baby was born, were you in the hospital?
Yes, ma'am. I was there for him.
And did you sign the birth certificate?
Yes, ma'am, I did. I have it right here. Taking care of the side, letting him come to my house on football Sundays. I watch.
That man is not doing any of that.
Mr. Blake walks in all calm, then admits to a one-night stand with Miss Hatcher and says the kid might be his. He mentions some booze blurring the details, and everyone laughs until Miss Hatcher says her son looks just like him. Now, people are comparing shoulders and feet like it's some weird family game.
We got a hotel room that night. Possibility it could be mine. If it's mine, I don't have a problem with taking care of mine.
Was it protect sex on that day?
We had a little alcohol, but I think so, Your Honor.
Well, first time we did use protection, and then the second time we didn't.
Your Honor, it wasn't no second time.
We had sex twice.
I only remember one time. I know I wasn't that drunk, Your Honor.
Miss Hatcher points out her son's physical traits, saying he's built like Mr. Blake, broad shoulders and flat feet included. Mr. Blake looks like he's hearing this for the first time and can't decide if he's amused or horrified. The spotlight shifts to Mr. Sneed, but it's still a circus.
He could could be a possibility because the way my son is built, the way he's growing up.
How many people you got to test before you find out?
Okay, well,
as many as it takes in this courtroom. You say your son, you feel like he's built like Mr. Blake.
Well, he got broad shoulders like Mr. Blake. You know, his hands are thick, his feet are flat. I really don't know Mr. Blake that well.
Mr. Sneed isn't even in court, but his name gets dragged back in as Miss Hatcher compares her son's flat feet to his. The crowd's connecting dots faster than a kid with a puzzle. The calendar just adds to the confusion, and you know this drama isn't done.
He has flat feet like Mr. Sneed.
I thought he had the flat feet.
The only thing I'm trying to do is just try to find out who my baby father is. Because he's 43 years old, he don't want to work.
But you slept with him without protection.
Yeah, I did.
So at this point, the insults are irrelevant.
Yeah, it is.
The results are in, and it's like waiting for your mom to check your report card. Thick suspense.
When it comes to Mr. Scott, you are the...
This story kicks off with family drama. Adriana Tucker wants Charles Hunter to admit he's her dad, but Charles isn't convinced. It's awkward, and it's only getting wilder from here.
Miss Tucker, you believed another man was your dad until a bomb was dropped on you 10 years ago when your mother admitted that the defendant is your biological father. You opened your case to prove to Mr. Hunter that he is your dad.
Adriana just wants Charles to take a DNA test and end the mystery. She's tired of being her own detective, and when her mom explains why she lied, it's completely bananas.
I have been trying to get Charles to do a DNA test with me twice. I scheduled a test, he didn't show up, and it's just a lot of confusion in my own mind, and it's very traumatic to me. I'm trying to figure out if he's my father or not to close this chapter in my life, because I grew up thinking someone else was my father.
Adriana's mom admits she lied about who her dad was, thinking Charles wasn't dad material. Adriana feels like she's missing out on her own story, and things are about to get even crazier.
Told her that someone else was her father at the time in order to protect her. I felt like Mr. Hunter was not a good role model.
Or what, she had a better chance of having a father in her life?
No, Your Honor, that's not the reason why. I was dating this guy, but it was basically over. At the end of the day, he wasn't good for her, and neither was Mr. Hunter's.
In 5th grade, Adriana overhears a phone call that flips her world. The man she thought was her dad denies it, leaving her confused. And middle school, total soap opera drama.
I was in the 5th grade and his sister had came and got me one weekend like she always did. They were on the phone and I was over listening to their conversation with her telling him that to meet me, she believed that I was his daughter. And it was my first time ever talking to him. I was really excited. And that's when he told me that my mom was not being honest with me.
A lady tells Adriana that Charles might be her dad, but her mom denies it. Adriana is left with questions, and Charles has his own surprising version of events to share.
I was in the 7th grade. Where we're from is very small. So I was at a store. There's a woman who knows them both. And she told me, she said, you look just like your dad. And so I go, oh, you know my dad? And I said his name. And she goes, that's not your dad. And that's when she said Mr. Hunter's name. And that was the first I have ever heard of him.
Charles says Adriana's mom told him he wasn't the dad, so he moved on. Years later, he hears rumors, but doesn't follow up. And then there's that time he showed up at Adriana's school.
Adrian told me she was pregnant.
So when she got pregnant, you were told?
And she told me the child wasn't mine.
And what was your relationship like with Miss Tucker?
Yeah, for a short while. She told me she was pregnant. She said the baby wasn't mine. I left and I got my life together. And I stayed gone for 15, 16 years. I came back to North Carolina hearing rumors that she was mine.
Charles pulls Adriana out of class to say, hey, I might be your dad. She's confused. And he later says it might have been a joke. Things only get messier from here.
I was in middle school and the young woman that is like his daughter, and they called me out of class. And he told me who he was, and he told me that he was my dad. That's what he said.
What?
And I told him no, like I always have said the other man was my dad. And just so happened, my mom still said no. And then we see him. I guess he had just moved back to town.
Adriana's aunt spills the tea in a car, saying Charles is the dad, while her mom tries to hush her. Adriana is stunned, and her mom finally admits the truth.
I was 23, and we were in the car with my aunt. They're a loving relationship, but my aunt's very vocal. Made the comment to my mom that she had not been truthful to me about who my dad was, and she needed to tell me the truth. My mom looked like she just looked like my aunt better keep her mouth shut.
Oh.
Turns out Charles used to date Adriana's aunt. Judge Lake points out how messy this all is, with Adriana stuck in the middle. And now we're heading to the DNA results.
Well, I had met a young lady. Come to find out it was Adrian's sister. And I thought that about that.
So you slept with her sister.
Did you know this?
This has nothing to do with my sister.
When I came back to Carolina, Adrian wouldn't speak to me. She wouldn't talk to me. She had nothing to do with me.
Mr. Hunter, you are not the father.
Jasmine finds out at 9 that the man she thought was her dad isn't, and her real dad is Cannon Little. Cannon denies it, talking timelines and all. It's a wild start, and things are only getting messier.
Ms. Degree, you say your whole world changed when you were just 9 years old, and your mother revealed to you that your dad was not biological father. She then told you Mr. Little was your father, yet claimed he's denied you ever since.
Yes, Your Honor.
Jasmine calls Mr. Little saying, "Hey, I think you're my dad," and he's like, "Nah, DNA test first." Her mom's not happy, thinking he should have been more understanding. It's awkward and about to get worse as Mr. Little pulls out some strange evidence.
So when I was about 11 years old, I got his number off a family member that's married to his family member. And I called him up on the phone and I told him who I was, who my mother was, and what I believe. And he told me that he don't know, he need a DNA test, he don't think so.
Mr. Little shows a 24-year-old calendar to prove he's not Jasmine's dad. Seriously, who keeps that? The dates don't add up, but nobody buys it. Things are weird, and the child support drama is heating up.
You got a calendar from 24 years ago?
Hey, listen,
wow.
baby, I do my homework.
You got a calendar from 24 years ago.
Hey, Dig, I do my homework.
Sure, you right.
All right.
What you did is you created a calendar.
Exactly.
To illustrate.
I created a calendar to illustrate, but 3 months later, she tell me she pregnant a month later. I don't know if she Houdini or what. How do you come up 3 months later?
Your evidence.
Mr. Little says he ended up on child support even though he was told Jasmine wasn't his. He claims court tried to test him, but Jasmine's mom didn't show. Jasmine's not convinced. She thinks he just cares about money.
I'm at work. HR came to me and said, you need to call this number. I call this number. They tell me they taking money out for Miss Degree. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. This is not my child. She done told me twice it wasn't mine. Now she got me on child support.
You should have wanted a blood test.
Hold up. I got that too, baby. I got that too. Hold up. I got this right here. Hold up. I got this right here from the court, and they tried to get in contact with her.
Jasmine shares her side. She felt abandoned, especially since it took her 5 minutes to find Mr. Little when she was 11. She's not mad, just wants answers. Her brother then steps in to back her up.
He said he been searching or whatever like that because the child support. And I'm not saying he is my father. I'm not saying he not. I'm just here to find out. And I was 11 years old, and it took 5 minutes to get in contact with him. So you telling me it took you 21 years to find me? How was it that hard? So you must have not been searching.
Corey, Jasmine's brother, talks about stepping up as a father figure and how Mr. Little hung up on Jasmine when she called at 11. He's not holding back, and it's about to get real with the DNA results.
For years, I've watched over my sister. You know, the male figure in her life that she looked up to, because my mom worked hard for us, and we had mostly everything we needed. It was times I didn't even want to say things about my father or that she had a hole in her because there was one. And that's what, like this photo, if you think about it, it's almost like, what if the test says not?
DNA results are in.
In the case of Degree B. Little, when it comes to the paternity of Ms. Jasmine Degree, Mr. Little, you are her father.
The man that she had dropping her off at my house, claiming was her brother, was the dude she was sleeping with.
Correct, Your Honor. It definitely was. The next thing you know, he like, shoot, baby, can I come see you? I'm like, yeah, you can come see me, what's up? He came to see me in a Stolo, which they call down in St. Louis, it's a stolen car.
That dude jumped out the window.
Yeah, the guy jumping out the window situation.
What happened?
Well, I came out the car. I seen somebody jump out the window, and I'm knocking on the door for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I wish you would have known so much about, we're talking about that you would have known who your child's father was.
I mean, I was,
but go ahead, school us.
So he come picks me up in the Stolo. So whatnot, and I'm looking out the window, he like, yeah, boo, I'm outside. Next thing you know, here come the police like, freeze. Get out the car. I'm like, really? You came to pick me up in the stolen car?
But a guy just jumped out the window, but you gotta knock on your own door.
Exactly.
And so wait, were you there when the guy jumped out the window?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I was in my car. I'm looking at him run through the field.
Holy moly, did you see that? Ms. Foster steps into the spotlight and throws down the gauntlet, announcing that Mr. Jackson is the real dad of her kiddo, Jakia. She's super annoyed about him ghosting, just when they had plans to raise this baby together. On the flip side, Mr. Jackson is giving her the stink eye, totally not buying it because he thinks Ms. Foster played the field. But hold your horses, there's more drama brewing.
Ms. Foster, you claim you and your ex-boyfriend planned your pregnancy only to have him abandon you and deny paternity. You are here to prove that he is your daughter, Jakia's biological father. You want him to step up and take care of his daughter.
You won't believe Ms. Foster isn't holding back. She's all about setting the record straight on the daddy drama. Because, let's face it, the little one's got Mr. Jackson written all over her. She's peeved he's bailing on daddy duties. Mr. Jackson fires back, accusing her of keeping the baby off Instagram to dodge, proving he's he's the father. Don't go anywhere. The fireworks are just getting started.
I'm opening this case today because, Your Honor, I have a 1-year-old child who we plan on having. She looks like him. He doesn't step up to nothing. I mean, he's posted pictures on social media.
That's not my baby. She don't even post the baby on social media.
I'm not talking about social media. I'm talking about real parenting.
I can't say I admit to anything because I always say I'll do this and I'll do that.
Whoa there. This is where it heats up. The courtroom dives into the nitty-gritty of their bumpy affair, stirring up stories of past relationships, a new baby on board that Mr. Jackson is now side-eyeing. The air is thick with claims of cheating and hush-hush secrets, sketching out a love story that's anything but smooth. Ms. Foster throws down the gauntlet, insisting she's Mom of the Year, which Mr. Jackson just laughs off. Buckle up. We're diving deeper into the chaos.
How did this relationship even start?
Relationship started through social media. We found each other through Facebook.
Social media, I should have known.
We found each other through social media, so we had a mutual friend. They vouched for him, said he was a good person, so we jumped into a relationship. I had my first child, and he did come bring us to his mother's house, but he was claiming my first child knowing she wasn't his baby, but then when we planned a baby, he doesn't deny this child at all.
Grab your snacks. This is getting juicy. Amid her declaration of being a supermom, Ms. Foster's brag triggers a heated retort from Mr. Jackson about her so-called secret romances. The story thickens with tales of betrayal and shenanigans, as Mr. Jackson accuses her of cozying up with some guy she calls her brother. As they untangle this messy love knot, keep your eyes peeled. More bombshells are on the way.
He told me I was going to be his baby's mother, because I'm the best mother in the world. That's why he said it.
Actually.
Facts.
No. The man that she had dropping her off at my house, claiming was her brother, was the dude she was sleeping with.
Correct, Your Honor. It definitely was.
Basically what the story was, she already came to my house pregnant by her so-called brother.
Strap in for this wild ride. Flashback to the day Ms. Foster found out she's expecting again, which had her floored in the doctor's office. She wastes no time telling the potential fathers, sparking a wildfire of debate over who's the real dad. The courtroom buzzes as they sift through the timeline of trysts, leaving everyone dizzy. Hang tight, because there's more drama chugging down the track.
I fell to the floor. I did 3 rolls around the floor in the doctor's office because I wasn't having no kids if I'm finna be a single mother to 2 children by myself. I'm 20. So at that point, I told Marquise, because Marquise was there physically. He was gone out of sight, wasn't worried about him. So I told him, I'm pregnant. You could be the father. It's out of you and Sean.
It's getting intense now. Judge Lake jumps in, her eyebrows raised at the circus unfolding before. She points out how insane it is that these two can't get their act together for their little one. The tales of commitment, or the lack thereof, sketch a wild scene. Don't move a muscle. This showdown is about to escalate. Epic levels of crazy.
Yeah, I wish you would have known so much about, we're talking about that you would have known who your child's father was.
I mean, go
ahead. School girls told me you had 2 boyfriends because he had 2 girlfriends, and you were sleeping with them at the same time. Were you having a sexual relationship with the other guy at the same time you were having it with Mr. Jackson?
Not the exact same time.
Brace yourselves for the grand reveal. Jerome wheels in with the DNA test results, and everyone's holding their breath. Is Mr. Jackson the dad or not? Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jackson, you are not the father.
Mr. Jacobs thought he was Samar's dad for 3 whole years and paid all the bills. Now, out of nowhere, his ex, Miss Call, was telling people he might not be the real dad. She said maybe Mr. Daniel Cooper was the actual father. Mr. Jacobs wanted everyone to know that Samar looked just like him, but Mr. Cooper was super quick to say, "Not me." The judge looked confused, trying to figure out who was telling the truth. How did Mr. Jacobs even meet Miss Call? Well, buckle up, because this story was about to get really weird.
Mr. Jacobs, you're on the birth certificate and paying child support for 3-year-old Samar, but say your ex is now telling people that you are not his biological father, and you're suing today to prove that Samar is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Ms. Call, you admit to allowing Mr. Jacobs to name the baby, sign the birth certificate, and pay support for your son.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy tale. Barely a month after they first met, Ms. Call hits Mr. Jacobs with the bombshell. She's pregnant. This sparks a mix of excitement and a storm of doubts about who the baby daddy could be. Imagine this. Mr. Jacobs learns about the pregnancy, and Ms. Call turns up at his door, baby bump in tow. Alert the drama squad. This whole scenario spirals into chaos fast, with both sides recalling different versions of how the pregnancy news came to light.
I would say about a month or so, coming back home the first time, my neighbor had told me that, a young lady had stopped by to look for you and everything like that. And the next day, she was actually sitting outside my apartment, and she was sitting with a friend, and, she was fat. All right, I'm pretty shocked by it. I asked, would you like to go for a walk and everything like that? And that's when she had told me that she was pregnant and everything, so
That's not true.
Get your snacks. The main event is here. The birth scene could be ripped from a screenplay. Mr. Jacobs is right there in the delivery room, signing the birth certificate, overwhelmed with emotion as Samar opens his eyes for the first time. Despite the swirling rumors, he's smacked with a gut feeling. He's the dad. He signs the birth certificate, going against his mother's advice. And oh boy, does that crank up the daddy drama to a whole new level. Stick around. The legalese is up next, and it's a real head spinner.
At that moment, were you sure you were this child's biological father?
I was sure about it because when she was in the C-section, they had brought Samar out to me. He had opened up his eyes and he was looking at me, and at that time I felt the connection between him and me. And the nurse there told me, like, that's a rare thing for that to happen. You know, usually the babies don't open up their eyes.
Peek their eyes, that was a sign.
That was a sign, correct.
Jump into the legal maze with me. The judge clarifies the stakes, noting that putting your name on the birth certificate locks you in as the father. Science aside, this crucial moment of emotional decision at the hospital has Mr. Jacobs wrapped up in legal ties that won't quit. Things are about to heat up with a surprising new development.
That by signing that birth certificate, you were acknowledging paternity. You were saying, I am, by executing this, signing my name here, I become the legal father of this child. And at that point, it's not even about biology. It's about signing the birth certificate means you're the legal father, and that's how you're looked upon.
This is where it shifts into a real-life drama series. Enter Mr. Cooper, the man Ms. Call now suggests might be the legit father. She's all about pointing out how much Samar resembles toddler pics of Mr. Cooper, like they could be clones. However, Mr. Cooper is steadfast in his denial, firm in the definitely not my child camp, adding yet another twist of chaos to the story. Hang tight, the plot's about to thicken even more and the truth gets murkier.
Your Honor, one of Mr. Cooper's family members showed me a picture of Mr. Cooper when he was 3-year-old. My son is 3-year-old now. They look just alike.
And when you saw that picture, you saw your son?
Yes. And every day I look at my son, he looks more and more like Mr. Cooper. He has his same eyes, same nose, same forehead, same ear. He looks nothing like Mr. Jacobs.
What's next? Oh, it's time for the money talks. The conversation turns to child support, with Mr. Jacobs showcasing proof of his payments. This segment underscores how his signature on the birth certificate has his wallet in a vice, while Ms. Call continues to promote the Mr. Cooper paternity theory. It's a whirlwind of financial and emotional upheaval, folks. Get ready, the DNA shocker is just around the corner.
When I was living in Niagara Falls, we actually had communication the same way. You know, I was helping her out, giving her formula and diapers too, and you know, he was telling me that, yeah, she wanted to do a DNA test, but she never came around to do it. So he didn't really know who the father was. I was just stuck being a father.
And you're now paying child support.
I have information, me paying child support, I paid.
Are you ready for the big reveal?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Cooper, you are not the father.
I knew it.
Buckle up, because here we go. Miss Richardson kicks things off by saying she and Mr. Smith were all lovey-dovey, planning to start a family together. But just after baby Kalani makes her debut, Mr. Smith flips the script, starts denying he's the dad. She's all about proving how pumped Mr. Smith originally was to have a baby, but then paints a picture of him changing his tune faster than a DJ at a dance party. Strap in, because it's only going to get wilder from here.
Ms. Richardson, you say you were in an exclusive relationship with Mr. Smith and even tried to have a baby together. But after you conceived your daughter Kalani, Mr. Smith started denying your baby.
Yes, Your Honor.
You intend to prove he is the father today.
Wait, what? Mr. Smith throws a curveball, saying he wasn't even in town when Kalani was supposed to be conceived. He hints he knows who the real daddy might be, stirring up a pot of drama soup with his claim of being out of the picture. And just when you think you've seen it all, the next bit dials up the drama.
Mr. Smith, while you admit to having a relationship with Ms. Richardson, you say you were not in town during the window of conception and claim to know who the father is.
Hold your horses, folks! Miss Richardson lays out the timeline like a pro, insisting that Mr. Smith was all in on having a mini-me because he wasn't sure how long he'd be around. She's dropping dates and details, trying to show they were together when Kalani was conceived, including cozy appointment visits. It's getting hot in here. And guess what? The emotional roller coaster is just leaving the station.
Around the time we were together for about 8 months, he had told me he was in a situation where he didn't know if he were going to live a long time, so he had said he wanted a child with me. Me being young and dumb and I was actually in love with him, I agreed on it. I had sent for him to come in town for the weekend so, you know, we can go home on weekend. That day we did have sex, and that's whenever my daughter was conceived.
Whoa, grab your popcorn. Miss Richardson gets teary telling us how Mr. Smith was all about having a baby at first. The court's digging into Mr. Smith's wishy-washy feelings, while Miss Richardson is standing her ground, claiming he wanted to leave a piece of himself behind. The stage is set for some serious heart-to-heart, and you won't believe what's coming next.
Well, she was like,
No.
she had baby fever.
No.
And I was
That's
like,
not at all. I did not have baby fever. I was only 19 years
She was talking to me
old.
the whole time on the bus talking. She got baby fever.
That was actually him.
And I basically was like, well, we both agree we want to have a baby. We can have a baby, you know? Like, we could, you know, start trying to have one.
The judge isn't having any of it and serves up some real talk. She advises Miss Richardson about the serious biz of baby making and the forever kind of changes it brings. Mr. Smith's casual attitude gets a major side-eye from the judge. Oh boy, get ready, because the next part dives even deeper into this soap opera.
Ms. Richardson, I can't let you go any further unless I just have a moment with you.
Okay.
You cannot have babies by everybody you feel like you fall in love with. I can see, we about 3 minutes in, and I can see that you decided you had fallen in love with him. Everything you heard come out his mouth was through the lens of love that you had created.
You'll need extra butter for this popcorn. As the saga continues, Mr. Smith shares his side. Yeah, he was excited at first about the baby news, but then the doubt monster started creeping in. He suspects Miss Richardson might have played away games, if you catch my drift. The plot thickens, and yep, there's more family drama just around the corner.
I actually was excited.
You were excited?
Yes, ma'am.
At what point do you feel doubtful then?
I was doubtful at.
Well, why? You all have been planning for this.
I thought she probably found somebody else outside of the Job Corps. Probably
I called
got
him
old
every day.
friends.
He called me every day. I worked 11 at night, so there was no time I could cheat at all. I called him.
Mr. Smith disagrees. He's shaking his head when you
We
testify.
were with each other almost every weekend. Every time I went home, he went home.
Enter the twin sister, Brianna Smith, who's here to spill some serious tea. She backs up some of what Mr. Smith's been saying and gives us the inside scoop on the baby plans and the excitement that was in the air. But as she talks, you can feel the tension rise. And just when you think it can't get any more intense, we hear from another family member who turns the emotion dial up to 11.
She, you know, when we were cool with each other, you know, she would confide in me about my brother. You know, when she did tell him about it, he was excited about it to a certain. At first he didn't.
So he was excited?
Yeah.
And you remember this?
Yeah. He didn't tell me that he had any doubt about anything. It just, you know, progressed, I guess, with him even more when got further along. And she, you know, her attitude is very, very vicious.
Get out the tissues, because it's about to get emotional. Twins mom, Darlene Bagley, steps up and shares her deep hopes that Kalani is her granddaughter, touching on the family's heartstrings and their struggles. She's rooting for a happy ending, but admits the family drama and the mysterious video have her worried. And hold on to your hats, because the DNA results are up next, and they're a doozy.
Do you believe Kalani is your granddaughter?
Yes, I do. They always did, but I stayed neutral, you know, because I didn't want to get in between. I'm on my son's side, but that's my everything in me. He was holding the baby and kissing on her. I'm like, I don't even know this. If you're a godfather, why we don't know you? Where did you come from?
Every time he gets mad, he said, oh, that's not my daughter. Oh, that's not my daughter.
Here it comes, the big reveal. Court reads out the DNA results, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Smith.
Get ready for a shocker. Ms. King drops a big truth bomb, saying Mr. Porter's denial about being the dad has messed up their relationship big time. She's super eager for today's results to clear up all the mess. Buckle up, because it's about to get even crazier.
Miss King, you are here to prove to your on-again, off-again boyfriend, Mr. Porter, that your 3-year-old son, Kylan, is his biological child. You say his denial has destroyed your relationship, and you need today's result to set the record straight.
You won't believe this. Ms. King spills the beans about making up a story that she was pregnant just to get back with Mr. Porter after they split. The audience couldn't believe their ears. And guess what? The next part is even more of a doozy.
And then what happens when you find out you're pregnant, Miss King?
Told him that I was pregnant, but I really wasn't pregnant.
Oh! Now, all right, Mr. Porter. So then Miss King admits she lied and said she was pregnant. What happens? You're pregnant, what happened?
At the time, she told me she was pregnant. So I decided, because I didn't have my father in my life, I decided I'm gonna step up to the plate regardless.
hold on to your popcorn, because here's another twist. While explaining her tale, Ms. King lets slip that a month after her fake pregnancy story, she actually got pregnant for real. Talk about confusing, and the plot thickens. Keep watching.
But maybe about a month after her telling me she was pregnant, walked in the room with a pregnancy test and was just waving it around like she was pregnant. I was confused. Then I started to think, like, how you pregnant? You know, like, if a month went by and you now pregnant, I was confused, like, I can't be the father. Like, that don't make no sense.
So you thought she had been with another guy
Yeah.
and was really trying to pin the baby on you, either trap you with
That's
this
not
baby
even-
because
that's
she
not the
wanted to
case.
stay with you.
Right, right.
Oh boy, here's a kicker. Ms. King admits she fibbed about being pregnant at first. This whole thing stirs up a big talk on why trust is a huge deal in relationships, especially with all these twists and turns. The drama's not over. There's more jaw-dropping stuff up next.
So then you were pregnant, but he doesn't believe that.
No, he doesn't believe it.
How you pregnant?
But you didn't even know I was lying about my pregnancy until recent. I just came out clear and told you I even lied about being pregnant during
Right.
that time.
Right. But
But you did let him know that you lied. Once you lie and someone catches you in a lie, everything you say, you look and going, is he lying? Is she lying? That's just how it works. That's what trust is about.
Imagine Mr. Porter's face when he finds texts on Ms. King's phone from another dude while they're at the hospital. The drama level is off the charts. You might want to sit down for this. Things are about to get even wilder.
when she was pregnant, like in the hospital, you know, giving birth to her, to Kylan, she, you know, she was like, you could say drained, tired, you know, so she went to sleep. I grabbed the phone and I seen some text messages between her and another guy. So that right there was like,
But why were you going through my phone? We're not together.
This is a picture of you in the hospital.
correct, when he was first born.
Now take a deep breath. Mr. Porter talks about a health issue from when he was a kid. He had a bad case of lead poisoning, which he thinks might mess with his chances of having kids. This adds a whole new layer of drama to the story. Don't go anywhere. The big reveal is just around the corner.
Your Honor, at the same token, I have a medical problem. When I was a child, I was diagnosed with the second highest case of lead poisoning in the state of New York. And I'm 26 right now, and I've never had any children at all until this situation.
Wait for it. Bam! The results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Porter, you are the father.
Buckle up, here comes the circus. Ms. Torrey and Ms. Henderson march into court, each pointing fingers at Mr. Goodson for not admitting he's the dad to their kids. Ms. Torrey says he's dodging daddy duties for her 2 munchkins, and Ms. Henderson claims he's bailing on her 4-year-old darling. They both want the judge to make him face the music and pay up for his kiddos.
You have joined together because you, Ms. Torrey, claim the defendant is denying he is the father of your 2 kids. And Ms. Henderson, you state Mr. Goodson refuses to take responsibility for your old daughter and enforce his financial obligations as a father.
Hold on to your socks because they're about to get knocked off. Mr. Goodson hopes the DNA test will make him the official dad, although he's not too sure because, oops, both ladies might have had other beaux when babies were made. He spills the tea about possible cheating shenanigans, and the judge's ears perk up for the scandalous scoop. The plot thickens, so don't go anywhere.
You claim Ms. Torrey has admitted that she cheated on you in the past, and she is also not confident the children's biological father.
Yes.
Although you are actually hoping the test proves that you are. Ms. Henderson slept with you and your cousin in the same time frame, and therefore you can't be sure her daughter is yours.
You're not gonna believe this one. Ms. Henderson tells a wild tale about Mr. Goodson picking her up in a stolen car. Yep, like a real-life car thief. Just as they were cruising, the cops flash their lights and it's game over. She paints him as Mr. Reckless, and we're all just eating up the drama. Wait for it. The ride gets bumpier.
Then next thing you know, he like, shoot, baby, can I come see you? I'm like, yeah, you can come see me, what's up? He came to see me in the Stolo, which they call down in St. Louis, it's a stolen car. So he come picks me up in the Stolo, so whatnot, and I'm looking out the window, he like, yeah, boo, I'm outside. Next thing you know, here come the police like, freeze, get out the car. I'm like, really? You came to pick me up in the stolen car?
Just when you think it can't get any wilder, enter Mr. Thomas, Mr. Goodson's cousin, who throws another curveball by admitting to a boozy one-night fling with Ms. Henderson. It was just a bit of fun, he says, but oh boy, does it throw a wrench into the who's the daddy mystery. Keep your eyes peeled because the family tree is getting tangled.
What was your relationship with Ms. Henderson?
It's just like a friendship, one-night thing, you know how it be, some nights.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna need you to repeat that.
I said it just
a little louder.
It's like a one-night thing, you know how it be, some nights you might get drunk,
Right. I
Okay,
never
so it
tried
was a
to turn you
one-night
on.
stand. So either you or your cousin, Mr. Goodson, is the father.
Yes, ma'am.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Drum roll, please. The DNA results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined that when it comes to 4-year-old Lazasia, Mr. Goodson, you are the father.
Yeah.
Buckle up, folks. Mr. Smith just dropped a bombshell, saying he's got medical proof and a surprise witness lined up to show he's not the daddy of Little Honesty. He's pretty sure his evidence and his mystery guest will seal the deal on his case. Just you wait. The next bit is a hoot.
Mr. Smith, you say you have medical evidence to prove you are not Honesty's father, and if that's not enough, your bombshell witness will close your case. The plaintiff's very own sister says you are not the father.
Hold on to your socks because Ms. Hicks is not having any of it. She's all torn up, saying she's only been with Mr. Smith and can't believe her own sister is taking his side. It's a real soap opera in here, and guess what? It's about to get even juicier.
So, Ms. Hicks, how does it make you feel hearing Mr. Smith deny paternity?
I know I've only slept with him, and I know who my children belong to. Hearing this from him and him getting it from my own full-blooded, it just boils me.
Tell the truth.
It boils me.
She telling false lies, okay? I know for a fact that he was not the only one she was
I guess you're there in the
sleeping
same
with.
bed with me when I'm sleeping with these people, I guess.
Oh boy, Mr. Smith is getting all technical on us. He tells the judge about a big oopsie at the gym that led to a doctor telling him he can't be a dad. He's got papers and everything to prove it. Stick around, because things are gonna get even spicier.
You hear the allegations that have been stated thus far. This is what leads you to believe you are not the biological father of Honesty?
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain.
And one time I strained myself too hard and I had to go to the hospital, and the doctor told me that I couldn't have kids, that my testicles had dropped by that time.
I'd like to look at that.
Whoa, did someone turn up the heat? Ms. Hicks and her sister are throwing shade like it's sunny. They're arguing back and forth about who's the cheater and who's the liar. It's getting wild in here, and you won't believe what's coming up next.
Did you inform Ms. Hicks about this when you all were in a sexual relationship?
No, Your Honor. Never informed me about any of this. When he did tell me 2 months after Honesty was born, like, she's living proof that you can have kids. I didn't make this baby myself.
Dang well,
Somebody I can't climb on top of myself and get pregnant.
You know dang well that's
It's
not
not
my
possible.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more bananas, Mr. Smith talks about finding some sneaky texts on Ms. Hicks's. He thinks those messages are solid proof she was playing around. Keep your eyes peeled because the next part is a real doozy.
I went through her phone and found text message. And it said when I can get that kitty cat.
Oh, you saw a text message?
Yes, Your Honor.
Exchange to the court. The other guy said, I miss that kitty cat. And Ms. Hicks responded, you know he leaves, so you can come over anytime. You saw this message and you feel like she was definitely sleeping around.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're not gonna believe this one. Mr. Smith caught a guy jumping right out of Ms. Hicks's window. Talk about an escape artist. He thinks she's been up to no good, and the dude had to bail in a flash. The tale gets even wilder from here.
That dude jumped out the window.
Yeah, the guy jumping out the window situation.
What happened?
Well, I came out the car. I seen somebody jump out the window, and I'm knocking on the door for like 30 minutes.
But a guy just jumped out the window, but you gotta knock on your own door.
Exactly.
And so wait, were you there when the guy jumped out the window?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I was in my car. I'm looking at him run through the field.
After all that drama, the baby arrives, and Mr. Smith is all mixed up with his feelings. He even helped pick the baby's name, but still doubts he's the dad. The roller coaster's not over yet. Hang on, because the truth is just around the corner.
So when you saw the baby, Mr. Smith, did you feel like the baby looked like you were excited? What's going on here?
Your Honor, because I felt sorry for her because she could have lost her life.
Honestly, you chose one of her middle names, which is Monique.
Do you have any other kids?
No, Your Honor.
You don't. So you believe it's the hypogonadism that contributes or has affected you so that you could not father any children.
Tears alert. Ms. Hicks is really feeling the sting from all the family drama, especially with her sister stirring up trouble. It's hitting her hard, folks. The big reveal is up next, and it's a real cliffhanger.
And I can see that hurts you.
It devastates the...
Why do you say it devastates you, Ms. Hicks?
Because it's coming from my full-blooded sister. We have the same mom, same dad. As
Because
close
I
as
know what
we
you do,
are,
Carlisha.
We're very close.
No, we argue,
okay.
Like, Your Honor, we argue just about every day.
The
We're
same
close
way I
because
take care of him, the
we
same
always
way I
got.
take care of her.
Get ready for the grand finale. The DNA results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Smith, you are the father.
What next?
When your mother works all day and you've been at home watching TV, when your mother comes home, if she wants to see something on television in her house, that remote goes to her hand and she watches what she wants to watch. Ruling is in.
She said she was in a sexual relationship. That's one. She had the baby and tagged the dude name in the picture. If the baby mom, why didn't you tag me in the picture? She tagged another guy and say she doesn't know who the guy is. Well, why the picture still stayed on your Facebook? And my family had to tell me, oh, you know she tagged another dude name in the picture. I got evidence for that too.
The case kicks off with Miss Capples claiming Mr. Harris is the father of her son and wants him to sign the birth certificate. Meanwhile, his girlfriend is right there, and Mr. Harris denies everything, demanding a DNA test. This drama is heating up fast, and it's only going to get hotter.
Ms. Capples, you say you are 100% certain that the defendant is your 15-month-old son, Jasion's biological father, and today he's going to put his name on the dotted line right in front of his girlfriend.
Miss Capples says their relationship was just hookups, and she blames his girlfriend for making him deny the baby. Mr. Harris insists it's not his, and everyone's just dodging responsibility. Just when it seems clear, Mr. Harris drops a strange twist.
To be completely honest, Your Honor, me and Mr. Harris, we were never in a relationship. Let's clarify that now. We were just
sleeping together.
Sleeping together. That's pretty much it.
Were you in another relationship?
No, I was not, no.
I wasn't.
You find out you're pregnant. Obviously, you weren't using protection if there's a question that he's the biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Things turn confusing when Mr. Harris admits he heard about the pregnancy, but then didn't hear from Miss Capples for months. He says he started doubting when she dated someone else while pregnant. It's all a blame game, and Miss Capples is ready to show some evidence.
She texted me and told me she was pregnant. Then she disappeared for months.
When she texted you and said, I'm pregnant, what did you think? Are you now with Miss Mayfield in a relationship?
That's when I had got with her in a relationship.
She was around 5 months.
She got jealous of what me and...
What is there to be jealous about? I don't care about you guys being
Miss Mayfield.
Yes,
so go
sit her
ahead.
down.
Miss Capples brings out a calendar to prove her timeline matches her pregnancy with Mr. Harris. He's confident, but Mr. Harris is still uncertain if he was even with her. It's a mess, and just when things seem clear, it gets more ridiculous.
As you can see, my son Jason was born January 9, 2016. Me and Mr. Harris were intimate for 9 months, all the way up the beginning of May. We started talking around September, Mr. Harris. Like I said, all the way up until the beginning of May. If you go back 9 months, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, bring you to April, and this is the window of conception where my son was born.
Mr. Harris admits he was with multiple women and didn't even know Miss Capples' real name. Miss Capples denies seeing others, but the situation is chaos. It's impossible to look away, especially as they argue about who showed up when the baby was born.
Were you involved with more than one man?
No, I was not, and he did not tell me that he was dealing with other women while me and him were talking. So I did not know that he was playing the
Men usually don't tell you. They want to keep
She
getting
went through my phone, text other women back.
Cut me off.
Yeah, that's the time y'all stopped talking. I know, boo. I know the whole story.
I'm sure you do, because you were there, right? And you were there when he was...
He don't even know your real name.
You were.
Miss Capples says Mr. Harris didn't come to the hospital because he was at work. He showed up the next day, but claimed the baby didn't look like him. Things are awkward, and there's a twist about who else was there that's coming up.
Did he get to come to the delivery room?
He didn't have a ride, Your Honor.
I was at the work when she delivered the baby. The next morning I came up there. When I looked at him, he didn't look like me at all. I had been here in my doubts, but like I say, everybody around town says that she goes around saying it's another guy's baby.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
No, I did not.
Because you did not want to, or you were not even asked to?
Both. I wasn't asked. I had my doubts.
Miss Mayfield, Mr. Harris's girlfriend, was the nurse in the delivery room when Miss Capples was giving birth. Miss Capples says she was spying, but Miss Mayfield says she was just doing her job. The tension is intense, and now the fight's about visitation rights.
What is this about the hospital room, Miss Kate?
I'm undergoing surgery, getting ready to have my tubes tied.
That is my job.
As a woman, I would not want to be in a room with a woman that's having my boyfriend's baby.
Okay, so you were the patient.
You work at the hospital, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then that was where they told you your station or where you were supposed to be? You were assigned to that?
Today, we got our stuff to do. Yes, ma'am.
Miss Capples lets Mr. Harris's family see Jason, but keeps him away from Mr. Harris. He and Miss Mayfield are upset, saying she's doing it on purpose. It's pure chaos, all leading to the DNA results.
Miss Capples, you're letting his family members see
close
the
with
baby?
his sister. I'm
like to go out all the time.
I don't
That's the
go
only
out.
reason.
What are you
Because you could
talking about?
easily give him to him when he did. He don't
He
have
would
to
be
drive
out
somewhere.
too. You
don't
at
have
home
to.
with the kids. What you talking
No,
about?
he don't.
All right, one at a time. One at a time, ladies. Ooh-wee.
The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Harris, you are not the father.
Thank you. Thank you.
You didn't sleep with no one else.
Judge Lake introduces Poyer v. Poyer, with a mom suing her son for $5,000 in unpaid rent. She says he needs to grow up, while he claims she treats him like a servant. This is going to be a wild ride. Brace yourself for some intense arguments.
Ms. Poyer, you have brought your son to court today and you are suing him for $5,000 in unpaid rent and utility bills. You say in your statement that you feel it is time for him to start acting like a man before he becomes a father. You are here today to make him face his responsibilities as an adult.
Ms. Poyer calls her son lazy, and he fires back, accusing her of making him do everything. Their insults are sharper than a comedy roast, and Judge Lake steps in to settle things with her no-nonsense approach.
My son, he's lazy. I'm your mother. I try to do the best that I can for you. You cannot just want to lay around, not want to do anything, not want to help me, take care of the household, or help me pay any bills. You cannot talk to me like I'm one of your friends in the street.
How you say it, but she's the total last person that should even be saying something like that.
Ms. Poyer wants control of the TV after a long day, but her son disagrees. Judge Lake's swift ruling is like a mic drop, but they're not done yet. Things are about to get messier.
When your mother works all day and you've been at home watching TV, when your mother comes home, if she wants to see something on television in her house, that remote goes to her hand and she watches what she wants to watch. Ruling is in.
Ms. Poyer worries her son will mess up his life like she did, but her delivery is harsh. Emotions are high, and the conversation turns into a heated argument about money.
Ryan, to keep making some of the same mistakes that I made. I got high. I ran the street. But there comes a point in your life when it's time to say enough. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I get up at 5 o'clock, be in the house at 10 o'clock. No, you want to come in here, ringing my doorbell 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. That's disrespectful. I get, 2 hours sleep?
Ms. Poyer presents receipts showing her son's minimal payments, while he insists he's doing his best. The argument escalates into a math fight, and neither side seems to have the numbers right.
All I want is for my child just to grow up. But then it was time to come in here. Mom, I didn't get paid this, that, the other. But yet still, you going in there to find your little roll-up to do your business.
You say he did not contribute. You say you have cable bills.
I have cable bill. I have rent.
Ms. Poyer claims her son only worked for 2 weeks, while he insists it was 3 months. The back and forth feels like a ping-pong match, and a witness is about to make things even wilder.
How long did he work this job?
2.5 weeks.
Did you just say 2.5 weeks?
You don't get a seasonal job for 2.5 weeks. When you work at a store for a season, that season is always 2 months and longer. I don't know where she got 2.5 weeks from. If you can find me a job that's going to hire me in the store for 2.5 weeks.
How long did you work this job where you were supposed to pay her $50 a week?
I was at this job for almost 3 months before the season ended.
Ms. Poyer's sister Natasha adds fuel to the fire, calling out the son's habits and blaming his girlfriend. It's chaotic, especially with judgments based on nail polish. It's drama mixed with comedy gold.
My main concern, the reason why I'm here, is because he going out smoking marijuana. He jumping turnstiles, getting arrested. Stupid stuff like that.
The worst thing I've ever done was smoke weed and hop a turnstile when I was 17. Leave it alone. Let it die already.
Okay.
I don't understand.
Smoking marijuana, that doesn't go out of your system right away. So how are you going to get a job if your system is dirty?
Ms. Luciano steps in, claiming she and Mr. Poyer work and contribute equally. The family isn't convinced, and it's a show me the receipts moment as things get even more heated.
We work at the same place.
Oh, you do?
Where?
Tell me where.
I work at a marketing
Show me a
research.
pay stub.
I have many of pay stubs.
Where's your W-2?
I got my W-2.
I didn't even need to be up here. She just turned into the
We both pay rent together. Because
Do you have a checking account?
I have a
Do you have a savings
yes, I do. In
account?
Chase. We go to Chase and I'll show you my
Finally, some calm. Judge Lake praises Mr. Poyer for improving his life and reminds everyone about family support. Both sides begin to listen. The emotional tension is far from over.
Suddenly you begin to live up to your potential. You get a job. You begin to get money paid regularly. Well, what your mother is saying is, why couldn't you do that to help me? And you're doing what you should be doing. And Mom, for that, you have to at least say, this is a good thing.
Mr. Poyer apologizes to his mom for the disrespect, and she breaks down, expressing how much she misses him. It feels like a turning point, but one big decision still looms.
Love you, I love you. I miss laughing with you. I miss crying with you. You know how I used to play with your ear? I miss all of that. May I hug him, please?
You absolutely can.
Do you remember that? This is what I most remember. Give me some nose.
Oh, yes.
This story's got it all. 2 boyfriends, a baby, and a lot of drama. Ms. Harris is stuck between her current boyfriend, Mr. Murray, and her ex, Mr. Donaldson, who both might be her daughter Anaya's dad. The goal? Figure out who's actually the father. Spoiler, this is just the beginning. Things are about to get way more chaotic.
Ms. Harris, you have been caught in a love triangle. There are 2 men in court today claiming to have fathered your 18-month-old daughter, Anaya. Your current boyfriend, the plaintiff, Mr. Murray, and the defendant, your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Donaldson.
Ms. Harris describes how things with Mr. Donaldson went downhill fast. When she got pregnant, he doubted her, then fell for someone else. He barely showed up for any of the baby stuff. Then, just when the drama seemed done, his family jumped in to make it even messier.
From my understanding, we was dating. But then when I got pregnant, he told me he had feelings for another girl. He told me that he didn't want to be with me. So I was basically alone during my pregnancy. He was there during the baby shower. He came to the hospital with his mom when I had her.
So wait, you're dating Mr. Donaldson, you're in a relationship. You all are boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yeah, we were.
Mr. Donaldson's mom was on board with being a grandma until she saw Mr. Murray with the baby. Suddenly, the family pulled away, leaving Ms. Harris to deal with it alone. But things get even weirder when Mr. Murray gets dragged into this train wreck.
I did not find out about it until she was about 5 months, maybe. When he told me about it, I accepted that he was, because that's what Chastity stated, that he was the dad.
At what point, Mr. Donaldson, did you say, Mom, I have something I have to tell you?
I didn't even tell her, honestly. I told my father, and my father told her.
That works too when you're scared to tell Mom.
Mr. Murray found out he might be a dad through a message from Mr. Donaldson. He says they used protection, but Ms. Harris disagrees. Despite the confusion, Mr. Murray stepped up when Anaya was 3 months old. Then, Ms. Harris mentioned a threesome, and now no one knows who the dad could be.
So, Mr. Murray, why do you believe you could be the biological father of this child?
One day I was on Facebook and I got a message. Jalen, he told me that the baby could possibly be mine.
Telling you that the baby could possibly be yours?
Yeah, I need to get a DNA test.
You sent him that message, Mr. Donaldson?
I don't recall. I'm not gonna say yes, I'm not gonna say no. I don't recall.
The timeline is a mess. Ms. Harris says it lines up with Mr. Donaldson being the dad, but admits she was also with Mr. Murray. Oh, and there was a threesome in December. No one seems to remember who used protection, so the court is left trying to make sense of it all. It's like a soap opera gone wrong.
You said your doctor told you your date of conception was around February the 10th.
Yes.
Anaya was born on October 21st, when you were intimate with Mr. Donaldson.
Beginning of February and the end of February, and then we stopped.
So the beginning of January, around here, the beginning of February with Mr. Donaldson?
Yes.
DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Murray, you are not the father.
That's okay. That's okay. That's still your baby.
This is like a reality show gone wild. Mr. Harvey says he spent $496.52 on baby supplies for a kid he doubts is his, claiming they met on a dating app. And boom, she's pregnant in 2 weeks. Ms. Jett wants a paternity test to shut him up. And trust me, it only gets messier from here.
Mr. Harvey, you are asking the court to award you $496.52 for baby supplies you say the defendant, Ms. Jett, demanded for a child you adamantly deny is yours.
The speed of this relationship could give anyone whiplash. They met, moved in, and she got pregnant all in a month. Now, they're fighting over cheating accusations, baby stuff, and even Facebook drama.
So you meet each other, move in together, and get pregnant all within a month.
Yes.
Find out you're pregnant, you tell Mr. Harvey.
And he was so happy.
You were happy when you heard the news?
I was happy.
Because you thought it was your child?
Yes. After she found out she was pregnant, we stopped talking. She moved back to Orlando. She wrote.
Because he was so sexually active with other women. He was cheating on me.
Watching them argue over receipts was like kids fighting over cookies. Mr. Harvey shows $500 in baby expenses, while Ms. Jett complains it took forever for him to buy it. The judge starts grilling them, and it's clear neither of them is backing down.
And this is all before the baby's born?
Yes, but
then you responded back.
Okay.
It took him months and months to buy this stuff. I've been asked him for this. I begged for him to buy
Is
this
a
stuff.
receipt?
A receipt, and I spent
that I
close
see
to $500 on everything.
A pack and play,
close to what you get.
A pump, bottle scrubber, bedtime wash.
Mr. Harvey's doubts are fueled by a Facebook tag. She tagged another guy in a photo of the baby, and he's wondering why it wasn't him. She says it was an accident, but trust me, it's about to get even crazier.
And she said she was in a sexual relationship. That's one. she had the baby and tagged the dude name in the picture. If the baby mom, why didn't you tag me in the picture?
Honor.
She tagged another guy and say she doesn't know who the guy is. But why the picture still stayed on your Facebook?
Honor.
And my family had to tell me, oh, you know she tagged another dude name in the picture. I got evidence for that too.
The petty fight over money goes to the next level. Ms. Jett claims she paid more for baby stuff, while Mr. Harvey says she's using government assistance. The judge steps in as they argue like it's a ping pong match.
Here's all the expenses that I've been taking care for of my daughter alone. He's suing me for $500. Her diapers is a little less than what he's suing me for, but her diapers are close to what you're suing me for. Her diapers is dang near that money, $500.
Every time you needed diapers, whenever you needed something, every time she called me, I gave it to her, Your Honor.
Mr. Harvey says she asked another guy to pay for an abortion. She denies it, but he insists he saw the text. The judge struggles to keep order as the tension skyrockets.
After she had the baby, she was trying to get pregnant again. She told me she was pregnant or whatever, so I went and got her and stuff like that. And then she had started going through my phone. I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go through your phone too. So I go through her phone, right? She telling this dude, she said, you need to pay for this abortion.
No, I didn't.
And the whole time she was never pregnant. She told me she was pregnant for me, and then she telling some other dude he need to pay for abortion.
Mr. Harvey's aunt comes in, doubting the baby is theirs, because it doesn't look like the family. She's confident it's not their kid, and the judge isn't so sure. Things are about to get even more dramatic when Ms. Jett's mom arrives.
Looking at my nephew's other children, we have strong genes, and all his brothers look alike. His brother's kids look alike.
And I have
they have the same heads. And our family have big eyes. Xavier and Xavier's family. His children look just alike from different moms. Everybody looks like the Harveys or the Highsmiths. Baby has no genes of us at all. Head shape or anything.
Me, I have strong genes.
Well, that's my opinion.
Ms. Jett's mom says Mr. Harvey promised to care for the baby, and now he's backing out. She's upset, and tensions between families escalate. Mr. Harvey then reveals another shocking reason for walking away.
He called me and told me that Shadeja was pregnant.
I didn't meet.
No, he hadn't met me, but you called me and told me my daughter is pregnant and how I shouldn't worry about you leaving.
I did not know Kim until after the baby was born.
No, you didn't know me.
I didn't know her.
Oh,
I did not know her until after the baby was.
Mr. Harvey claims he felt unsafe after Ms. Jett threatened him. He says he'll support the baby if it's his, but won't risk it until then. The judge says it's time for a paternity test. Get ready for the results.
I lost my job because I was supposed to go to work that morning, and I came over there. We wasn't even talking. She was in a relationship our whole pregnancy. Called me and said, I'm having a baby. I didn't go to work and got fired. After she had the baby, that's when I got to know her. She is not the person that...
Why would you be with somebody that you don't know?
Because the child, I want to be in a child's life, and if that child mine, I want to be in a child's life.
The DNA test is in.
Pertaining to 4-month-old Nolani Harvey. Mr. Harvey, you are not her father.
It's fine. That's fine.
This kicks off like a messy movie. Fewer heroes, more drama. Ms. Narissa Moffett wants a paternity test to see if Mr. Johnson is her real dad. 2 years ago, some guy slid into her Facebook inbox saying, hey, I'm your real dad. Mr. Johnson's reaction? Hold up, this is wild. He blames Narissa's mom for making things confusing back in the day. Buckle up, it's gonna get wilder.
Ms. Moffett, you always believed the defendant was your dad until 2 years ago when you received a message from a man claiming to be your biological father. You are tired of the confusion and are petitioning the court for a paternity test to prove the defendant is your dad.
Narissa gets a random Facebook message from a guy claiming to be her dad, complete with a baby pic. She's like, wait, what? She calls him, but instead of clearing things up, it just makes her need answers even more. The drama is only getting started. Who's this mystery dad, really?
2 years ago, he inboxed me on Facebook was saying that I'm his child, and when I'm looking like, I don't know. And then he had sent me a picture of me when I was like, he was saying that I'm his child and I have 2 other siblings.
I can see you're still shocked.
Yeah.
The message reads, hi, this is Lawrence Saunders. Call me because you is my daughter and I've been looking for you.
Mr. Johnson has major doubts. He says there were 2 other guys around when Ms. Moffett was pregnant. Their relationship was basically a secret, sneaking around like teenagers. This is giving serious who's the daddy energy, and it's just heating up.
Me and 2 more other guys was, at the time was dealing with Ms. Moffett. I just had doubts that I was her biological father at the time when she was little. I didn't know. I really didn't. I didn't know if I was the father or not, so.
Ms. Moffett reveals she slept with both Mr. Johnson and Mr. Saunders on the same day. Yup, both men could be Narissa's dad, but she thought Mr. Johnson was a better fit. Everyone's confused, especially the courtroom, and they're about to hear even crazier details.
I wasn't sure who was the father because, see, Mr. Johnson, and at that time, Mr. Johnson was at work, so I stayed around till he get off work. I had went to one of my friends' friend houses named Mr. Saunders, which I was dating. Basically, I ended up having sex with him that day and Mr. Johnson at the same time. So that's why I'm not sure.
Ms. Moffat admits she kept the two-dad situation from Narissa her entire life. Narissa only found out 3 years ago and is understandably upset. Her mom says she didn't want to hurt her, but that ship has sailed. Things are about to get even messier.
But Narissa testified that it was just 2 years ago that she was told that there was another possibility. But you didn't tell your daughter.
No, Your Honor.
But you're not telling your daughter that 2 men could possibly be the father.
I told her, that it could be a possibility.
When did she tell you this, Miss Moffat?
2 years ago. But I just want to get this over with.
Narissa got really sick and called for her dad, Mr. Johnson. He stayed with her for 3 nights, while Mr. Saunders, the other maybe dad, was nowhere to be found. This is straight out of a soap opera, and the courtroom is hooked on every word.
I stayed out of it until Narissa got real sick. Went to the hospital and spent time with her. I said to myself, man, this child is laying up here fighting for her life, really who her father was, and she said she wanted her father there. And he told me, he said, Ron, you need to get to Indiana as soon as possible. We don't know if Narissa's gonna be much around here much more long.
The moment everyone's been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Johnson, you are her father.
Yes, oh my God.
This kicks off awkward right from the start. Ms. Fisher claims Mr. Stewart is her baby's dad, but he's not so sure. Stewart says she had options back then, and he's not convinced. The judge already looks tired, and we're just getting started.
Ms. Fisher, you're here to prove that Mr. Stewart is your daughter Kalia's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You state that your daughter has a serious medical condition, and it is imperative that you know the father's medical history.
Ms. Fisher is certain Stewart's the dad because they were hooking up when her daughter was conceived. She admits they weren't always careful. Yikes. And says Stewart denied it when she got pregnant. She's here for her kid's sake, but this story's got more drama ahead.
Why do you believe he is the biological father?
Because at the time my baby was conceived, that's who I was having sexual relations with.
It was just a sexual relationship, Your Honor.
Did you use protection?
The first few times, yes. A week after we started messing around, she come out and she showed me a pregnancy test. I'm like, it's not my baby.
So a week after you all started having a sexual relationship, she brings you a pregnancy test and says she's pregnant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Wait, they're still hooking up? Stewart says he was over at her place just last week because he was bored. Fisher's fed up with his excuses, and the judge is too, especially when another guy gets thrown into the mix.
After this is over, did the relationship continue?
Yes, he was just at my house like a week and a half ago.
I got bored. I got bored,
When you get bored, you go over Miss Fisher's house and have unprotected sex?
Sometimes.
That's smart.
She told me out her mouth that I wasn't the baby's father.
There's another possible dad, Mr. Kern, who even gave the kid his last name. Stewart's like, see, told you. And Fisher says Kern just offered his name. Buckle up. Mr. Kern's side of the story is next.
Well, she named another potential father as the biological father, and then another man signed the birth certificate.
Which man is this?
Mr. Kern.
Mr. Kern?
Yes, Your Honor.
There's another man's name on the birth certificate. Is this true, Miss Fisher?
His name is not on the birth certificate, but my daughter does have his last name.
Mr. Kern hooked up with Fisher around the same time, but doubts he's the dad. She lied to him about another kid before. He thought her older child was his, but a DNA test said otherwise. Kern's still salty, and things are just getting messier.
That you could potentially be Kalia's biological father. Were you aware of this?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not denying that I'm not her father. She always been lying to me, you know what I'm saying? Because we already done went through this one time with an older child inboxing each other on Facebook.
It always starts with Facebook. Don't it, Jerome?
Fisher drops some serious news. Her baby has a heart problem and might need surgery. Both guys start shaking their heads, saying they have no heart issues, which isn't super helpful. The judge looks like she's had enough of this circus.
The doctor says she has a hole right in the middle of her heart, and she has too much blood going to her lung. And so in 2 months, they might have to do surgery if the hole doesn't close.
Oh my goodness. Either of you gentlemen have heart issues?
No, Your Honor.
Because she deserves to know. She doesn't deserve, I don't want her to grow up 4, 5, 6 years old looking for her daddy and I don't know what to tell her.
The judge is fed up and calls everyone out for being irresponsible. She reminds them this is about a baby's health, not their drama. She's about to drop some hard truths, and honestly, they need it.
When I look at this beautiful little girl and them needing an answer from me that I can't give because I was irresponsible, and now her health may be affected because of that, and the reason why I'm going so hard on you all is because you're still up and you admitted it in court today. It has been determined by this court. Mr. Kern, you are not the father.
A few weeks. 3 days later, she was pregnant by October 12th. I left September 14th. That was less than a month.
No,
That's
I
a lie.
If he would have never left us there in the first place.
So you're saying, Miss Villa, you had sex with Mr. Carr where?
In one of his friend's car when he picked us up. He picked us up and we did it right there with him driving.
That was on the 14th.
Who is Pizza King?
Except for the beginning, before I met you, before we even started really talking like that. And why are you bringing his social media up? Because that's his social media. You don't even know his name. You don't even.
You gave him.
This whole situation could have been avoided if he would have just
He have no money.
leave a message and say, I'm going to go.
And that's the day you think Trinity was conceived? Yep. With Mr. Carr in the car. Yes. The back of the car.
What do you mean? That was not social media. That wasn't even text messages.
No, that was not.
I have a question.
I didn't even have his number.
You had his number and his message. And
Who is Pizza King?
I don't know.
I don't even know. I never met him.
He like in the restaurant texting me.
This is straight up wild. Mr. Taylor drops the bomb that his fiancée, Ms. Jackson, told him while she was pregnant, that he might not be the dad. Then she switched gears and said he was the father. And now he's in court trying to prove he's not. Meanwhile, he's been raising this kid thinking it's his.
Mr. Taylor, you say your fiancée, Ms. Jackson, dropped bombshell on you when she was 9 months pregnant and told you that you may not be her child's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
She later changed her mind and said, are Raymond's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
And while you're hoping he's yours, you're here today to prove that Raymond is not your biological child.
No.
This is crazy intense, y'all. Mr. Taylor says today's results will either save or end his whole relationship. He's been doing all the dad things, clothes, food, playing with the kid, and is ready to walk out if the child isn't his.
So, Mr. Taylor, what is riding on today's result?
Well, this relationship. I've done too much for the kids. I've been there since day one, raising this kid, fathering the kid, clothing the kid. I do everything for this child. And the only thing that I do know is that if this child ain't mine, I'll be walking out this courtroom today a single man.
You all are engaged. You have a family together. So there is a lot at stake here.
Yes, Your Honor.
Buckle up because this is about to get messier. Ms. Jackson admits she had an affair with a guy she met at a shelter, Mr. Green, while Mr. Taylor was off trying to better their lives. She says she felt alone, turned to Mr. Green for emotional support when she thought Mr. Taylor abandoned her. Yeah, you heard that right. She says Mr. Taylor has every reason to be suspicious.
A few years ago, we just packed up and we moved to Florida for a fresh start. I met Mr. Green, a shelter. We ended up becoming intimate, but Mr. Taylor left me and my children stranded in Florida while he went away to, I guess, chase his dreams, knowing that we had nobody and knowing that we had nothing.
Oh man, the plot thickens. Mr. Taylor says he left to get a better job in Atlanta to help the family, but Ms. Jackson fires back, accusing him of leaving her stranded with the kids. Now they're arguing about whether he tried to contact her or not, and it's basically a he said, she said mess. Both are super heated, and neither is backing down.
Mr. Taylor, did you leave her stranded?
Yes, for a job opportunity in Atlanta. You gotta understand, it was my girlfriend and our kids in a shelter. I couldn't do nothing there because it wasn't no job opportunities in Orlando. And
he didn't try to get in contact with me.
At the youth shelter.
I tried to get in contact with him. I didn't even know that he was in Atlanta for 2 days. I was blowing his phone up. Well,
no, you're
gonna be upset when I tell you where I am.
Things are really heating up now. Mr. Taylor claims Ms. Jackson hooked up with Mr. Green right after. He left for Atlanta. He's convinced she got pregnant just a few days after he split, while Ms. Jackson says it didn't happen that fast, and she blames him for leaving. The back and forth is intense, and you can feel the tension in the room.
A few weeks.
3 days later, she was pregnant by October 12th. I left September 14th. That was less than a month.
No,
That's a lie.
If he would have never left us there in the first place, this whole situation could have been avoided. If he would have just been a man about the situation,
they have no money.
Leave a message and say, I'm going to go.
He's saying, but Ms. Jackson,
when I left,
you never sent your money.
Let's get some order.
Okay, this part is straight up jaw-dropping. Mr. Taylor says he found out about the whole Mr. Green situation from a random Facebook message. Yep, social media drama alert. He thought the baby was his the whole time until he confronted Ms. Jackson, who admits she didn't tell him because she didn't want to lose him.
Well, a guy that was on Facebook, he inboxed me, basically telling me that LaJoy was pregnant by Mr. Green. That was my first time even hearing about it. I confronted her.
You've been talking to her on the phone?
Yes.
And she's never mentioned I'm pregnant?
No, but I confronted her about it.
I was still having a lot of, emotional depression over our relationship.
Facebook contact saying it was Umar Jr. though.
This part, pure chaos. Mr. Green walks into court and confirms that, yep, he had a thing with Ms. Jackson. He says she told him that Mr. Taylor left her to chase a rap career in Atlanta, and he felt bad for her, so he stepped in to help. But get this, while they were together, she was still texting Mr. Taylor.
I guess I met her in the shelter. When I met her, she told me that he had left her for a rap career in Atlanta, just left and didn't want nothing to do with her, had nothing to do with her, didn't want to take care of the kids. So I sat there and I felt bad, we vibed, and then I was going through stuff with my baby mom at that time. Then it got to a physical level. When we left the shelter, I just got, I got my place, my condo, empty bathroom by myself. I got that.
This moment is absolutely bananas. The DNA results are finally revealed, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. His biological father is Mr. Green.
I figured.
Okay, buckle up because things get awkward and crazy right from the start. The judge introduces the case of Valentine versus Jordan. Ms. Valentine is super confident that Mr. Jordan is the father of her baby, while Mr. Jordan is equally sure he isn't. It's like a showdown, and you can already tell this is going to be one wild ride.
Ms. Valentine, you are here to prove your 3.5-month-old son, Michael Jordan, is the defendant's biological child. You claim Mr. Jordan did not deny your son until you moved on and began dating other men.
Oof! Ms. Valentine wastes no time calling out Mr. Jordan for being a total liar right in front of everyone. She accuses him of pretending like he wasn't involved during the pregnancy. She drops the bomb that he even cut the baby's umbilical cord and asked her to name the kid after him. This is where the real fight begins, and you can feel the drama cranking up, but just wait, it's about to get even more personal.
You don't believe you are little Michael's biological father?
No, not at all.
That's a lie. Because this whole pregnancy after birth, you begged me to name him after you. And you've been there through my pregnancy. I mean, you cut his cord. So if you want to keep lying in front of this judge, it's going to cause problems for you outside this courtroom.
Yes,
I suggest that you tell the truth because it's going to cause a lot of problems.
But that was because if it was my kid and I wasn't there, then I would feel bad.
This has to be one of the funniest and most random things said in a courtroom. Ms. Valentine explains she met Mr. Jordan on a dating app because she was looking for a one-night stand. Then, out of nowhere, she says she likes her men with a dash of ugly. The judge and everyone else burst out laughing because, well, who says that? Things chill out for a minute. It won't be long before the heat's back on.
How did you all even meet?
Went on a dating app. I went on a dating app because I was looking for a one-night stand because that's all it was supposed to be. So, you know, I was on the dating app and I saw Michael. And I swiped right on him, and apparently he had swiped right on me as well. I like my man, I like him with a dash of ugly and stuff. And it's like, he fit the description because he had a beautiful, but he had a little dash of ugly.
Wait.
Just when you think you've heard it all, Mr. Jordan tells the story of how he popped over to Ms. Valentine's house and found another guy there. He walks in, sees some dude leaving, and his jealousy meter shoots through the roof. He's convinced something shady's going on. But just wait till you hear what Ms. Valentine says next. It gets even weirder.
Well, I'm knocking on the door, nobody coming. The lights off upstairs. Who is this? Somebody with hair like mine. He came downstairs. He opened the door. The first thing I asked, who is he? She's like, no, he just here for the kids. He was cleaning up my house. Tell me why ESPN was playing in her room with messed up sheets, Your Honor. She don't watch basketball. Can you even name an NBA player besides LeBron James?
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan.
Now this is where things take a turn for the ridiculous. Mr. Jordan starts talking about some mystery guy he calls Pizza King, and apparently there were some flirty messages. He says the text proved Ms. Valentine was talking to other dudes while claiming he's the father. But seriously, who even named someone Pizza King? Stick around, because the real answer about the baby's father is just around the corner.
Who is Pizza King?
Except for the beginning, before I met you, before we even started really talking like that. And why are you bringing his social media up? Because that's his social media. You don't even know his name.
That's the name you gave him.
What do you mean? That was not social media. That wasn't even text messages.
No, that was not.
I have a question.
I didn't even have his number.
You had his number and his message.
Who is Pizza King?
I don't know.
I don't even know. I never met him.
He like at the restaurant texting me.
You could cut the tension with a butter knife. The judge is about to read the DNA results, and everyone's holding their breath.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jordan, you are the father.
Wow, this whole thing kicks off with some serious drama right away. Miss Ramirez is dragging her ex-boyfriend to court because he's refusing to accept he's the dad of her 4-month-old daughter, Mila. She's hoping the DNA results will force him to step up and do his job as a dad.
Ms. Ramirez, you have dragged your ex-boyfriend to court because you are tired of him denying your 4-month-old daughter, Mila, and you're hoping today's results will make him finally step up.
Things get crazy fast when Mr. Jordan doesn't hold back and calls his ex a pathological liar. He claims he's not the dad, and while he's been there for their other 2 kids, he's sure he wasn't around when Mila was conceived. Yeah, this is about to get even more awkward as they argue over who's really been doing what for the kids.
Are you avoiding responsibility, Mr. Jordan?
No, Your Honor. I'm just here to prove that Mila's not my baby. She's a liar, like pathological liar. We have 2 other babies together, and I've taken care of Levi and Adrian. Like, I've stepped up. I've changed their diapers. Like, Adrian was here for 7 months. I took care of him. I do everything for them.
The last time you came was
That's
last
because you don't
week.
let me. What you mean? You don't let me.
No, because you're broken. You don't have the money to come down.
Well.
You won't believe it, but Mr. Jordan says he had already moved to another state and had moved on before Mila even became a thing. He explains that because of this, there's no way he could be Mila's dad. This is getting messy fast, and Miss Ramirez is about to drop another bomb about their time together.
So you were already living in another state and had moved on.
Yep.
Which is why you say you are not Mila's biological father.
Correct.
Ms. Ramirez, if Mr. Jordan was living in a completely different state, you've testified he didn't have any money to come back.
The week he had came to visit, he was coming down with a friend. During that time, we were having unprotected sex. I had told him that I wanted another child with him.
Hold up, things get wild. Miss Ramirez admits they were having unprotected intimate violence. During the week she says Mila was conceived. She says the timing fits, but Mr. Jordan claps back with a pay stub saying he was in another state. Yeah, this is the part where the whole thing starts spiraling into chaos and he pulls out proof to defend himself.
Of March 18th through March 24th.
Yes, the whole week, unprotected sex.
And this is the week you say you got pregnant.
Yes.
Your Honor, that's not, she's lying. I have proof right here that I was in Georgia, I got a pay stub.
So this is proof that
I was working in Georgia.
You were working in Georgia. This is a check for you, Elias Jordan, dated the 22nd of March, 2018.
Just when you think this can't get messier, Miss Ramirez reveals she slept with another guy right after Mr. Jordan left. She claims they used protection, so there's no way it's his baby, but this only makes the whole situation crazier. Oh, but wait, because Mr. Jordan's got something up his sleeve. A witness is about to come in.
A week after he left, I did sleep with someone else, but I did use protection and he did pull out. A day and a half later when I took a pregnancy test.
Your Honor, there's no way, and on top of that, she said that she had actually slept with someone before and she thought she was pregnant by another guy when she was talking on the phone, so.
No, I didn't.
What did she tell you, Mr. Jordan?
She told me that she thinks she's pregnant with some guy, like she just happened to tell me. I'm like, okay.
I never said that.
That's what she said.
No, I didn't.
If you thought this was already messy, just wait. Mr. Jordan's new girlfriend steps in with some major tea. She says Miss Ramirez told her she was taking Mila to see another man, and that this other dude could be the real dad. Yeah, things are about to go off the rails, and Miss Ramirez's response will totally catch you off guard.
I knew more certainly when she herself told me. She asked us to stay with the boys and that she's gonna take Mila to go see her dad. She didn't say, oh, this might be the dad. She said, I'm going to take Mila to see her dad. He's gonna give me money for her. He wants to see Mila.
The drama goes up another level when they show Miss Ramirez a photo of her, Mila, and the other guy that looks like a full-on family photo. Miss Ramirez tries to downplay it, saying this dude is just a possibility. But it's pretty obvious this is getting out of control. And buckle up, because the DNA results are coming soon.
I also found a photo on social media, you know, where she's like taking a picture with the baby and this man, and I found it on there.
You found a photo?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is a picture of Miss Ramirez, Mila, and then the other guy?
Yes,
I've never posted that.
Well, this looks like a family portrait. Does he believe he's Mila's biological father?
He knows he's a possibility.
The moment of truth is here, and it's big.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jordan, you are the father.
Okay, this whole thing is wild right from the jump. Ms. Foster comes in hot, saying Mr. Durden is denying their son, little Ian Jr., and she's begging for a paternity test to prove he's the dad. She talks about how having a kid at 17 threw her straight into grown-up life, and now she's struggling to take care of her baby. Meanwhile, Mr. Durden's over here all confident, saying he's sure the kid isn't his, no doubt about it, and you won't believe what comes out next. It's about to get even messier.
Ms. Foster, you say getting pregnant at the age of 17 pushed you into adulthood sooner than you expect. You claim Mr. Durden is denying your 15-month-old son, Ian Durden Jr. You are asking the court to order a paternity test so you can prove he is the father because you're struggling financially to make it on your own.
I mean, can you believe this guy? He straight up says he hasn't helped with the baby because he doesn't think the kid is his. He's like, I don't want to get attached to a baby that's not mine, which is pretty cold considering the baby literally has his name. Oh, and just wait, this whole name situation is about to turn into a big deal.
And the simple fact, because I haven't helped, because I don't want to get too attached to a baby that's not mine.
He has your name.
And the reason because he has my name is because I was kind of like pushed to sign the birth certificate.
No, that is not true. We used to talk all the time about, you know, if we have children, like I want my son to have my name.
I want to have my son to have my name.
Your Honor, he is definitely the father of this child.
Now things get super awkward when Mr. Durden pulls out the "I used condoms" defense. He says every single time they hooked up, he had protection on, so there's no way he's the dad. Ms. Foster is like, no, not always. And boom, their argument takes off like a rocket. This back and forth is about to get even more ridiculous, so buckle up for some major drama.
Every time we had sex, I used condoms.
And that is not true. And I have proof of that actually not being true.
And that's why you're saying, Mr. Durden, the court should not order a paternity test. There's no need because you say you used a condom every single time.
Exactly, because I spent my money on condoms.
So, yeah, clearly on condoms, but not on the baby.
Oh man, this part is just nuts. So Mr. Durden tells the court about this time he snatched Ms. Foster's phone and found text with another guy, plus a selfie. And get this, the guy took her to the sonogram, which makes Durden even more suspicious. Ms. Foster's trying to explain he was just a friend, but let's be real, things are getting pretty sketchy. You think this is bad? Wait till you hear what happens next.
Mr. Durden, what did you see on the phone?
I just saw messages with her. When I saw that, I saw a picture too, actually. She took a selfie with a guy in a car. And it was the guy who took her to the doctor from the sonogram of the baby.
Okay. He was there when he was not.
But if that's my child.
He wanted nothing to do with me. Like, he ignored me. When I was pregnant the entire time, I barely spoke to him.
Judge Lake's face says it all. She's not buying what Mr. Durden is selling. She reminds him that condoms aren't foolproof and calls him out on thinking he's 100% in the clear. The judge makes it clear that this condom confidence isn't enough to avoid a paternity test, and she's ready to call it out. And just when you think it couldn't get any more awkward, there's a witness that takes it to a whole new level.
Condoms are 98% sure.
Well, we're at the 2% because...
I mean, let's be honest. They're not 100% effective. And my trouble with your argument here today is you say on the one hand, there's no way in the world you could be this child's father. On the other hand, you're saying your mother and everybody convinced her to name the child after you. And you signed the birth certificate.
Okay, so now Mr. Durden's sister comes in, and things get even more ridiculous. She claims Ms. Foster cheated on him with a guy who looks just like Mr. Durden. Yeah, she's saying this guy could practically be his twin. Apparently, this dude is the one in that selfie from earlier. Things are spinning out of control, and you'll be shocked at what comes next.
He stated that she's pregnant. Like, I didn't even know that was. So he also said that she cheated on him with her best friend. Her best friend looked exactly like my brother.
Really?
They can go for twins.
It was the boy she took a selfie with.
That's why I have my doubts too, because if they use condoms and she cheated on him around the time she conceived the baby, so it's a possibility that he can be the father also.
This is one of those what were you thinking moments. Mr. Durden admits he signed the birth certificate because he didn't want to embarrass Ms. Foster in front of her family. The judge is like, dude, you signed it, so now you're legally responsible. He's realizing signing that paper was a way bigger deal than he thought. Oh, but trust me, the real bombshell is still coming.
Mr. Durden's on the birth certificate. You understand this. We don't need to have a test. That's not my child, but you are that child's legal father because you signed your name on the birth certificate. So by not wanting a paternity test, you're basically saying, this is not my child, but I agree to be financially responsible for him for the rest of his life till he's 18 years old.
Here it is, the moment we've all been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Durden, you are the father.
Mr. Carr wastes no time accusing Ms. Villa of being a big-time cheater and trying to stick him with a kid that's not his. He says she's been dodging a DNA test for 3 whole years. Ms. Villa admits to messing up, says Mr. Carr is the dad, and hopes the test will help her win him back.
You state that Ms. Villa is a notorious cheater who tried to pin her daughter Trinity on you. You claim there is no way you are the father because she's been running from you and a DNA test for 3 years. Ms. Villa, you admit to making mistakes in your relationship with the defendant, but you and your best friend want to prove he fathered your daughter Trinity.
Ms. Villa explains they met on Facebook, had a one-night stand, and boom. Next thing you know, they've got a kid. Mr. Carr says he wanted to save her, but their relationship was a total roller coaster. He also claims she wouldn't leave him alone, which is pretty awkward to admit.
How did the relationship start for you?
He hit me up on Facebook and went from a one-night stand to us having a kid.
Wow. And it turned into a relationship from just meeting on Facebook.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you all decided, what is this, love at first sight for you all? Like, what you were just
No, Your Honor.
We want to do this?
The problem was I couldn't get rid of her, Your Honor.
Mr. Carr accuses Ms. Villa of cheating on him not once, but 8 different times with 8 different people. Ms. Villa kinda owns up to some cheating, but insists some of it happened when they were broken up. All this back and forth is making one thing clear. Mr. Carr really doubts if Trinity is his.
She cheated 8 different times with 8 different people.
She cheated on you 8 different times with 8 different people?
Yes, Mom.
No,
Yes,
that's
Your
not how it
Honor.
went. There was times I did cheat on him, and there was times we were broken up to
So,
sleep with another
with that
girl in
being
a place we
said,
shared together. So you need to get your story straight and tell your
My whole point is, you're admitting that you're cheating. Why not admit the full truth? The
I
full
admitted
truth
I
is the only
cheated,
thing that's going to
but
set you free.
Mr. Carr pulls out a whole timeline to explain why he can't be the dad. He says Ms. Villa slept with another guy on January 31st, then 3 days after they had intimate violence on February 14th, she suddenly says she's pregnant. Ms. Villa, of course, is like, nope, we conceived on Valentine's Day, and says he's definitely the dad.
The times of conception was she slept with a man on the 31st of January.
Tony,
Me and
she
her
was-
slept together on February the 14th. 3 days later, the 17th, she tells me that she's pregnant. I'm like, how are you pregnant?
Tony, you're a liar.
If we just slept together on the 14th, how did you know that you're pregnant?
You
if
told
we
me
slept
I was
together.
So
pregnant.
you
You're a
have
liar.
sex 3 days later and she tells you, now I'm pregnant.
Ms. Villa casually drops the bomb that she thinks Trinity was conceived in the back of a car while Mr. Carr's friend was driving. Yep, you heard that right. The audience can't believe it, and honestly, neither can Mr. Carr.
So you're saying, Miss Villa, you had sex with Mr. Carr where?
In one of his friend's car when he picked us up. He picked us up and we did it right there with him driving.
That was on the 14th. That was
Tony,
on the 14th.
I didn't tell you I was pregnant until a couple of weeks later.
And that's the day you think Trinity was conceived?
Yep.
With Mr. Carr in the car,
Yes.
the back of the car.
Mr. Carr starts getting really emotional, talking about how much it hurts not knowing if Trinity is his. He says he loves her like his own, even though there's always that nagging doubt in the back of his mind. You can feel how much this is tearing him up inside.
Trinity is 3 years old. Do you have a relationship with her?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm with her just about every day of the week. I play my role as a father. No matter what it is, no matter how much pain or how much that eats me up inside, I still treat her like she's my own child.
And that hurts you. Why are you feeling so emotional?
Because I didn't deserve that, to go through what I went through.
But you kept taking me back.
Mr. Carr says Ms. Villa moved all over the country just to avoid taking the test, jumping from state to state like she's in a witness protection program. He even claims she spelled his name wrong on purpose to mess with the paperwork. Ms. Villa says no way and insists she was moving so he could stay in Trinity's life.
So you say she's been running away from a DNA test?
Yes, Your Honor. I was in Alabama. She was in Tampa, Florida. I tried to hook the cases together. As soon as she received the letter, she moves from Tampa, Florida.
And I opened cases each time then. You're wrong,
Each
Tony.
time she opened the case, I believe she purposely spelled my name incorrectly because she
I went
had
back
one
to
of my
Decatur
work
to make sure he
badges
was a
on
father
her
to the
each and every time.
Ms. Villa's best friend drops the bomb that during the time Trinity was conceived, Ms. Villa did have a one-night stand with another guy. This totally goes against what Ms. Villa said earlier and makes things even messier.
You say she confides in you. Did she ever say that she was with another man during the window of conception? So she did tell you that during the window of time when Trinity was conceived, she did have a one-night stand with someone else.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's not what you testified to here.
In the period of time of me getting pregnant and stuff, I messed around with the guy a couple of weeks before him.
After all the back and forth drama, the DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Carr, you are the father.
All right, buckle up because this one's about to get real messy. Ms. Holsinger is here to get a DNA test and prove Mr. May is the dad of her 2-year-old son, Gabriel. She says he's been running from his responsibilities, but today he's about to face the music. Mr. May, on the other hand, says he was tricked into signing that birth certificate and wants nothing to do with her. Things are already weird, but wait till you find out how they met.
Ms. Holsinger, you petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your 2-year-old son, Gabriel. You say Mr. May has abandoned his responsibilities and he will get the truth today. Mr. May, you claim you were pressured into signing the birth certificate and now you are stuck with a woman who foolishly believes you are her child's father.
This is the part where you just go, wait, what? Ms. Holsinger and Mr. May met on a chat line. Yep, you heard that right. Things went from chatting to, well, messing around pretty quickly, and here we are with no protection and a baby on the way. But if you think that's the craziest part, you're about to be proven wrong real fast.
I met him off the chat line. I was lonely, so I decided to call and try to basically find something to do.
She found something to do and we end up messing around, you know what I mean, too fast. And
Right, that's what I don't understand about these chat lines, Ron.
Yes.
How did it get?
the chatting and things start happening.
So then you met her?
And here's where the confusion kicks into high gear. Ms. Hulsinger says she told Mr. May about the pregnancy early on, but he says, nope, she told me way later. He was cool with it at first, but started doubting the whole situation when people started talking. They were still together, but he wasn't so sure anymore. And it's about to get even juicier with what happens next.
She called me one day, she told me she was pregnant.
And what did you say?
For the most part, I was cool with it. You know, I'm a man of my word. I take care of all my kids, you know what I'm saying? So.
And were you happy? Were you saying, oh, I'm gonna have another child?
I was excited.
You're lying.
Why is he lying, Ms. Holst?
He was like, are you serious? Are you sure it's mine?
Did you have doubts in the beginning, Mr. May?
No, I did not in the beginning.
Oh boy, this is where it starts going off the rails. Mr. May talks about how one day, while he was over at Ms. Hulsinger's place, he heard a car beeping outside. Things got real sketchy when she told him to go out the front door, but he insisted on leaving through the back. And guess what? There's another guy standing right there asking for her. And it doesn't stop there, folks, because her explanation is even wilder.
A time when I was over a house. One time we was upstairs in a room and hearing beep, 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 beep outside, and you know, it didn't leave. About to go out the back door. She told me to go out the front door. So I say, no, let me go on out the back door. Open up the back door, there's a gentleman right there.
Really?
And he asked me, was I there for Mrs. Holsing? I was there for one of her family members, and I proceeded to walk on out the door while she hid behind the refrigerator.
The story keeps getting crazier. Not only was there a random guy at the door, but Mr. May also noticed some suspicious texts popping up on her phone. And of course, there were rumors flying around that she was involved with other men. He's got every reason to doubt now. But wait till you hear what happens when the baby arrives.
That wasn't the only thing though, Your Honor.
Oh, what else?
I'm not too heavy of a sleeper, so at the time, you know, I'm spending the night with her. I'm seeing messages pop up on the phone. That led me to doubt too. Not only the backdoor situation, but just text messages, you know what I mean? Things I would hear on the streets and things of that nature.
So you were also hearing rumors.
A mutual friend had told me that he had been involved with Miss Hulsinger.
Now, this part will have you scratching your head. Ms. Hulsinger says that Mr. May didn't even bother showing up for the birth, and her family had to go drag him to the hospital. His excuse? He had doubts about whether the baby was his, so he didn't see the point in rushing over. But come on, dude, you've been sleeping with her this whole time, and you won't believe what happens when he finally does show up.
So when you actually went into labor?
Yes, ma'am, he wasn't there for me. My family member actually had to go and get him so he could come up there and see my son.
Oh, so they went to go get him.
And I had my doubts. That's why I wasn't willing to just go catch the bus or get a ride or anything.
Even if your spidey sense has been activated and you've seen other, why wouldn't you show up for the birth?
I had my doubts, Your Honor.
This next part is just unreal. Mr. May says he was pressured into signing the birth certificate because everyone was saying the baby looked like him. Even though he still had doubts, he decided to be a man and sign it anyway. But now, he's regretting that big time because it made him the legal father. And trust me, the surprises don't stop here because there's another guy in the picture.
In your court papers, I see here, it says you signed the birth certificate too.
Yes,
How did that happen?
Pressure.
So
Yeah, I'm getting, he has your nose, he has your head. What are you gonna do now? This, that. And I'm just like, let me just be a man. Let me sign the birth certificate. If it's mine, I'm gonna deal with it.
Because at that point, her family has come and picked you up.
Yeah.
Hold up, you thought it was messy before? Just wait. Ms. Hulsinger drops a bomb and admits there was another guy she was seeing at the same time, who Mr. May calls refrigerator guy. She was also intimate with this other man around the time of conception. So now there's a real question about who the father is. But guess what? The plot thickens, and there was already a DNA test before this.
That she told him that they were gonna have a happy family together and move away. And
who is this person?
I told you he was a stalker. He just pops up anytime I was moving.
Your Honor.
Oh, that's the same guy from the refrigerator scene?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. May, you are the father.